everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's lecture, we are starting a new chapter of class 9 Icse biology, and the name of the chapter is tissues, plant and animal tissues. And today we are going to study topics like what is a tissue, okay, and we will also study about meristematic and permanent tissues. So meristematic and permanent tissues. Their types and everything. So let's begin with our first topic, which is what is a tissue. Tissue is a group of similar cells performing a specific function. Let's understand this. Okay, suppose this is just a single cell. Okay, then here group of this cell. Okay, you may see all the cells are exactly similar. Okay, so this, let me draw it bigger. So this group of similar cells which will perform a specific function, like the muscle cells help in the body movement. So these similar cells constitute a tissue. So this group of similar cells performing a specific function, they constitute tissue. Okay, let's erase this. This whole forms a tissue. Okay, now note this: tissue, multiple tissue, they constitute an organ. Then multiple organ, they constitute organ system. And multiple organ system constitute an organism. Okay, here let's see one example. So example of tissue, like the epithelial tissue covering the surface of the skin. So epithelial tissue covering the surface of the skin. Then organ, example of organ is stomach. Stomach is somewhat like this. So stomach. Okay, now organ system, multiple organs, they form an organ system. They work together as a specific function. So organ system will, example of organ system will be digestive system, which consists of stomach, intestine, liver. So here will come digestive system. We have other systems like reproductive system, excretory system. These all are different systems. Now multiple multiple organ system like digestive system, excretory system, reproductive system, they all constitute an organism. So example of organism may be a human being. Okay. Then in case of plant, organs, they have organ system like root system, shoot system, they constitute the organism plant. Okay, so this was all about tissue. Now let's study the different types of tissues that are found. So plant tissues are of two types, which are known as meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. So let's write it down. Plant tissues of two types. One is known as meristematic tissue and the other is known as permanent tissue. Okay, this meristematic tissue is also known as meristem. So let's first study about the meristematic or meristem. Later on we will study about the permanent tissue. So the word meristos means to divide. So meristematic tissues are the tissues that have the capacity to divide. So they multiply and form new cells. Okay, and their location is the tip of the root, shoot, branches, bark, the places that continuously grow, they are found there. Okay, the places which continuously divide. So their location is tip of roots, stem, branches. Okay, they are also found in the bark, and wood. So based on their location, they are generally of two types. So one is known as apical or terminal meristem. The other is known as lateral meristem or cambium. Okay, this apical or terminal meristem, it is found at the tips of the roots, stem and branches. Okay, the plant elongates from the root tips, from the stem tip, from the branches. So that place is known as apical or terminal meristem. Suppose this is the plant. Okay, these are the root. This is the end of the root, this, and this is the end of the stem, and these are the end of the branches. Okay, so these points are known as the apical or terminal meristem. So this is the apical, upper part, or terminal, the end part, which is continuously dividing, is known as apical or terminal meristem. So we may write this point. So this apical or terminal meristem is found at tip of roots, stem and branches. Okay, now lateral or cambium meristem. Suppose this is the plant. Okay, so in apical or terminal meristem, the plant was increasing in height, it was spreading its branches. But in lateral meristem or cambium, we want our plant to increase its diameter or the girth. So suppose this is the original plant. Now after time we observe its diameter has also increased, it has widened. So this, if the plant grows laterally because of the lateral meristem or cambium meristem, so that comes in lateral meristem or cambium meristem, means it is to increase the diameter of the plant. So it is found in bark or wood. Okay, this is the bark of the plant. So below this bark, it is found this lateral meristem or cambium meristem. Means it is present here, this tissue, which is increasing the girth of the plant. So its function is to increase diameter of the plant. Okay, it increases the diameter of the plant. Next, we will be studying about the characteristics of this meristematic tissue. Okay, and after that we will study about the permanent tissue. So here a common difference we can point out between meristematic and permanent tissue is that this permanent tissue, they have lost the capacity to divide. If they have divided once, after this they won't divide. They will perform their specific function and they don't have the property to divide again. We will be studying about permanent tissue. So meristematic tissue are the tissue that multiply continuously and form new cells, while permanent tissue are the tissue that have lost their capacity to divide. Okay, so let's first study about the characteristics of meristematic or meristem. So the meristematic cells are small. Suppose this is, I'm drawing, this is a meristematic cell. Okay, so the cells are small like this. Okay, this is the first point. Okay, now cells are usually cubical. They are cube like, you may see this, these are cube shaped cells. So they are small, they are usually cubical. Okay, next point, it is done. Cell wall is thin. Now if we draw their cell wall is very thin. Okay, this is the cell wall. Cell wall is the outer boundary. After plasma membrane, cell wall is formed. So that cell wall in meristematic cell is very thin. Okay, it is thin. Now, nuclei are large. The nucleus which is present in these cells is quite large. This is the nucleus. Okay, so nucleus is large. Next point, vacuoles almost absent. These vacuoles store water, almost 90% of water. So these vacuoles are almost absent, means they are hardly present. So they are absent in the meristematic tissue. Okay, so vacuoles almost absent. Next point, cells actively divide, adding new cells to the plant. These cells divide, okay, because they are found at the growing tips of the roots and stems. So they actively, means they continuously divide. Suppose this will divide and it will actively form two new cells. Then again this will divide, form two new cells. Then this will form two new cells. Similarly, these will also form new cells. And further the new cells will be formed. They will produce new cells. So these cells actively divide. Okay, adding new cells to the plant, and they are adding new cells to the plant. Please learn these characteristics. You may learn 4 to 5 points. Okay, now let's study about the permanent tissue. So what are permanent tissue? Permanent tissues are the non-dividing cells. So let's write, permanent tissues are cells which are non-dividing. So these are non-dividing cells, means these are the cells that have lost their capacity to divide, that have lost their capacity to divide. Okay, these permanent tissues, they once formed, will not divide further. Suppose our meristematic tissue, it formed the permanent tissue which will not divide further. Meristematic tissue were dividing continuously. Okay, one cell was again forming two new cells, then again those two cells were dividing further. But here, these once formed will not divide further. Now, next point is they have permanent function. Means they, let's write it, they have permanent function. What does this mean? Like, suppose if a permanent tissue has a function of conduction of water, it will only conduct water. If it has a function of transporting food to various parts of the body, it will do only that function. It won't transport water. So they have a specific permanent function. Now, this permanent tissue may be living if nucleus is present. So they may be living if nucleus present. Okay, and they may be non-living or dead if nucleus is absent. Okay, now this permanent tissue is basically of three types depending upon the functions they perform. So it is of three. One is protective permanent tissue, another is supporting third is conductive. Conductive, supportive or supporting permanent tissue. Conductive permanent tissue and protective permanent tissue. So what are the protective permanent tissue? Protective permanent tissues are the tissues that provide protections to the various parts of the plant. So because of that property, their cell wall is thick. Thick cell wall. Okay, they are found on the surface of the roots, stem and branches because their function is to provide protection. That's why they are found. So found on surface of root, stem, branches. Okay, their function is just to provide protection. Now this supportive conductive tissue, it is of three types. Okay, one is parenchyma, another is collenchyma, and the third is sclerenchyma. Next we will be studying about these types only. Now in conductive comes our two things. One is xylem, which is responsible for the conduction of water, and the another is phloem, which is responsible for the conduction of food. So next we will be studying about the supportive permanent tissue, and in that we will be studying about parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. So let's start that thing. Let's draw parenchyma cells. So it somewhat looks like this. This is the cell membrane and I am drawing thin cell wall. This is cell wall. Okay. Inside we have the nucleus and vacuole present. So let's write the points about parenchyma. So they have thin cell wall. Okay. Next point, they may be oval. We can see in the diagram they may be oval, circular. It may be like this. They may be circular or polygonal. Polygonal means they may be like this. So they may be circular or polygonal. They may be of different shapes. Now, they also store food. Means that food is starch in potatoes. So they store starch in potatoes. Okay, and their function is to provide temporary support to the plant. So they provide temporary support to the plants. Now let's see where parenchyma cell is present in case of plants. So they are present in the cortex and pith. So what is a cortex? See, this is the plant cell that I have drawn. So this outer area is the cortex. So this parenchyma is found in this cortex and this inner part is the pith. So this parenchyma cell is found in the cortex as well as in the pith. Now let's study collenchyma. I am drawing the collenchyma cells. So these are the collenchyma cells. Okay, and these cells are elongated like this. Let's make it longer. Now let's write the point. So these are elongated cells. Okay, One very important point about collenchyma cells is that they are thickened at the corners. There is some deposition at the corner. So let's write this point. They are thickened at corners. Okay, their function is to provide support to the plant parts. So they provide support to plant parts. Okay, it is present in the stalk of the leaf. Suppose this is the stem, this is the stalk through which the leaf is attached with the stem. This stalk is known as petiole. So it is present in this collenchyma is present in this stalk. It helps to flutter the leaves and it prevent the breaking of the leaf. So it is providing support to the plant parts. So let's write the function. So function we have written provide support to the plant part. Let's write the location. So it is found in leaf stalk. This stalk is known as petiole and it is also found below the epidermis in stem. Below epidermis in stem. Suppose this is the stem cell. So this outer layer is the epidermis, and below epidermis we have a layer which is known as hypodermis. So in that hypodermis this collenchyma is present. So its location is leaf stalk and below epidermis in stem. So this is epidermis and this is the layer which is below epidermis, and in this collenchyma cell is present. Now let's understand sclerenchyma. This is how a sclerenchyma cells look. Okay, they have lignin deposition around the cell. So this is what? This is cell wall with lignin. So let's write points about sclerenchyma. These are long, narrow, elongated cells. You may see from the image, these are narrow, they are thin, narrow, elongated cells, they are longer cells. Okay, then these sclerenchyma cells are dead cells, they do not have nucleus, so these are dead cells. Next point is their cell wall is thick due to deposition of lignin. So cell wall thick due to deposition of lignin in cell wall. Okay, because their cell wall is thick, their function is also to provide strength to the plant parts. So they provide strength to plant parts. Now let's see its location. It is found in veins of leaves and stem. So it is found in veins of leaves and stem. See, this is the leaf. Okay, this is the midrib. We have veins present. So it is found, this sclerenchyma cell is found in the veins and they are also found in the stem of the plant. So this was all about parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. That's all for today's lecture. In the next lecture we will be covering about conductive permanent tissue, and in that we will be studying about xylem and phloem. Thank you so much. Please revise all the topics that I have taught. See you in the next lecture.